Hello! Happy Sunday!
Happy Sunday!
And welcome to Wolf Mountain. We're getting so pro with our little intro. I'm so excited.
You guys like it? Solstice.
I hope you guys like that because that makes me laugh every single time. How's everybody doing? Oh, I can switch over to comments. We're trying a new
We got
StreamYard thing, so sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Seems like once it gets going on the iPhone, it doesn't work.
Sorry.
This is what it's going to be then. So we're going to have to go back to watching your comments on the phone. So anyway,
I'll read them here.
We're jumping ahead. Welcome to Wolf Mountain, our alternative spiritual community in the evenings for everyone who likes to sleep in.
Other people.
For those who
are sleep in until 7 p.m.
You could sleep until 7 p.m. I don't know. I'm like the worst intro person ever. We'll come up with a fancy intro one of these days, but we won't really. We really just scrambled to do this whole thing about 5 minutes ago, so that's how pro we are. Now I'm to adjust our camera. Sorry. Welcome to Wolf Mountain. For those of you who are new, I am Sid Widmer. This is my wife, Melanie Widmer, our resident Enneagram coach. And from 7 to 7:30, she helps us all get along and coaches us in the Enneagram. And we have fun with that. And then from 7:30 to 8, if you want to tune in then, if you're not an Enneagram fan, I get on and speech. What do I do?
And speech.
I speech on.
Speecher.
I speech on the English language.
He's like a pro speecher.
I'm a pro speecher. We do a little spiritual intelligence, whatever the wind's blowing that week. Try to bring you what I feel like spirits put on my heart. And so yeah, that's us. Can't explain us. That's what we are.
It will become more clear.
It'll never be clear. It gets less clear.
Or less.
The less clear.
It'll be more obscured.
The farther we go. But it's cool. We like it that way. So anyway, here we are. How's everyone? By the way, we encourage interaction. Everyone knows that. And for now, we have to read your comments on our cell phone because the way we have it set up, for some reason, it doesn't work on our camera. So if you see us looking down, we're reading your comments. So we encourage interaction. We ask questions. You can ask us questions.
Feel free to yell at us.
Yell at us. Tell us to wear masks and sit farther apart. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. We'll probably ignore you, but
feel free to.
Feel free to, yeah. Do whatever you want. So, yeah. And we always start out with favorite thing ever of the week. And what was your favorite thing ever of the week this week?
Well, I think my favorite thing ever of the week this week was getting away with some girlfriends. We went way up to northern Washington to the town of Nooksack. And
Nooksack.
Which is a rad name.
Don't mispronounce that.
Careful. And we had just fun berry picking and hiking in the mountains, visiting. And then a couple of our good friends who live in Vancouver, BC are like, oh, you're close, we should visit. And I had no idea you could do that. But there's a spot, the road that goes right along the border. So we just met up at a certain time and sat on each side of the international border.
It's an international incident.
And we were under a camera, so I know we were being observed. None of us made a break for it, but it was so fun to get to spend an hour or so.
I'm trying to flee into
Daphne
Canada.
and Hannah.
But it's all monitored.
Yeah, they don't want us there.
If I drove fast enough, I could probably get it.
They would get you.
I don't know if Canadians are
Apparently,
that fast.
according to Hannah, it is the longest what she said, not unguarded, but unsomethinged border in the world.
No.
And it's just a ditch.
It's a ditch. That's all that separates us from being invaded by Canada is a ditch.
I think they could take us.
They should.
With niceness.
With niceness. I don't know. Some of those Canadas, some of the Canadas are getting pretty feisty.
Who?
Hannah.
Well, Hannah spent a lot of time in the U.S.
Hannah Burns is the most American Canadian I know.
Canadian.
All right.
What was your favorite thing ever?
My favorite thing ever of the week is Melanie was with the team praying for somebody to be raised from the dead because that's what we do here.
That's what we do.
But the woman's granddaughter started howling during this session of prayer. And when asked what she was doing, she said, oh, my grandma said that wolves howl when they praise God, so I'm howling. So she ran around howling, which I thought was the greatest thing ever because Wolf Mountain.
thought you would like that.
We had a baby wolf, so that made my day.
She's lovely.
Anyway, that was our week.
Yeah.
Yay. So, here we are. How's everyone? I see hearts and smiley faces. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
Ruth, Dawn, Jackie, Amber, Mark, how's it going, peeps? Good to see you. Feel free to come in away. Good to see you. I'm watching you all right now. Melanie's going to roll with some Enneagram this week. And what are we discussing this week?
Well, we have one silly and one serious, so we can decide. So
Let's
our
go serious
silly,
first.
okay, our silly is going to be, we're going to have a good discussion about Enneagram, what Enneagram numbers different superheroes represent. So that's super serious. And then the real serious one is each type's core desire. So 2 weeks ago we talked about each type's core fear, and now we'll talk about core desire. So we're motivated by fear, yes, but we're also motivated by our desires, and it's helpful to know.
Hey, Ruth, maybe I'll put this here.
Oh, there we go. Then we can see. Helpful to know ourselves, and sometimes it's hard to even articulate our core desires, and also for our loved ones to
We're
know
going to find out what your core
them.
desires are.
Yes.
And what superhero you should be. That's an interesting question. I always think it's interesting who identifies with what superhero. You guys can probably guess mine, but
It's a hard one, I guess.
hey Marlena. Tell us what your favorite superhero is, which one you identify with the most. That'll be interesting.
And maybe we'll try to figure out ourselves on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're starting with the serious part and finish with the funny.
Well, let's do the superhero.
Okay.
Let's start there.
All right,
That
I'll put my
fun.
serious binder away then.
So you have to go through all the types.
Okay. This is serious.
And tell us what superhero is represented by each type.
Yeah. So we did think of this 10 minutes ago, roughly.
So it's very scientifically.
It hasn't been very thoroughly considered, but feel free to weigh in and tell us how wrong we are.
This was a very thorough study. Scientific data.
Okay, so starting with number 1, type 1, the reformer. They're concerned about moral goodness, can tend to be perfectionistic, want things to be better. So I think the best superhero to represent type 1 is Captain America.
Tank girl. Jen Fuller, you always climb, you always get, I have this book of gold stars of cool points, and I think you got most of them. Jen wins. Tank
I
girl's
don't know, I think she's like an 8, don't you think?
Tank girl? She's probably an 8. I don't know. Tank girl's probably an 8,
she's
yeah.
a badass. I'm scared of Tank
If anybody has not seen Tank Girl, go watch it and you're welcome. There are kangaroos in it. That's all I'm saying. It's the best. Okay.
Do you agree with my type 1 assessment?
Captain America?
Yeah.
I guess I better. Yes. He is concerned with justice.
Yes.
He's Captain America.
Yes. Okay.
I just think he has the lamest suit, is all.
Oh, it's not his fault.
Yeah,
He's Captain America.
That's
what
true.
are you going to do?
That's true. We're not known for our style, really. All right, I'm just too distracted by Tank Girl. I forgot how rad that movie was. Okay, let's move on to 2. We gotta get to
type 2, the helper. So they're concerned about obviously being helpful. They are very other focused and just want to be of service to others. So we thought maybe Spider-Man.
Spidey.
Yes.
He's very helpful, Spider-Man.
He's very helpful. He's the sweetest superhero.
It's true. It's hard to hate Spider-Man.
And he wants to be loved, I think, and he wants to be needed, don't you think?
I think so.
I think so.
I don't know.
I don't know him personally.
Could be a friend. He could be really angry.
Oh. Not Peter Parker. No.
Speaking of, what's number 3?
I don't know how that's speaking of.
Because Spider-Man and our number 3 had a really tight relationship in the Avengers movies.
Oh, right. Okay, so type 3 is the achiever or the performer, and they are competitive and achievement-oriented and image-focused. So we think Tony Stark. So he definitely is competitive and is concerned with success and appearing successful.
He has a good taste in cars.
Yeah.
And Peter Parker was kind of he was kind of a son to Iron Man.
That was a sweet plot point.
Yeah, that was the saddest part of that movie.
No spoilers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Iron Man, yeah. Hey, Amy, Susie, Jessica, saying hi now. Yeah, I think so. I think Iron Man
Yeah.
Definitely. All right,
Yeah,
who's
okay.
4?
Let me see who could be 4. Off the top of my head, I'm just gonna say Batman.
Of course.
The
Oh wait, everyone who's
emo
texting me
list.
right now, quit it. I'm using my phone for this, and I forgot to turn off my.
Sorry, he'll
Yes,
talk to you
Batman
guys
is definitely
later.
the quintessential 4.
He's dark, he's brooding, he's emo. He only dresses in black and shades of very dark gray.
That's right. They look in black and very dark gray.
Yes.
That's a given.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there to say?
Nothing really. It's
No.
the best. Greatest superhero ever.
He's a good one. 5. So 5 is the observer and the investigator. So I think Doctor Strange is a really good 5. He figures everything out.
He's very 5-like. Yes, it's true.
Yes. Yes. There's a lot going on up
But
here.
mystical, which seems to kind of be weird for a 5.
They can go mystical.
Can they?
Yes.
All right.
In their mental palace.
Mental palace.
Yeah.
The inner palace.
Yes.
Don't ever read that by Teresa of Avila. It's the longest, driest book from one of the mystical mothers you've ever read in your life.
I mean, you can read it.
I mean, you can read it.
Read
but
whatever
be
you want.
prepared. I couldn't
We
get
don't
through it.
censor
Someone
you.
gave it to me, and I couldn't do it. All right, moving
That
on.
challenge. Okay, so we're at type 6. Our loyalists. Oh, I think this one was fun. So type 6, kind of unique in the Enneagram. There are two different like subtypes of 6s that look really different. There's a phobic 6 and a counterphobic 6. So they're
some
both
duality going on.
Yes, they're both motivated by fear, but a phobic 6 will tend to fall in line with authority, and a counterphobic 6 will rebel against it. So we thought the perfect superhero for type 6 is the Hulk / Bruce Banner. So Bruce Banner, of course, would be the phobic 6. So 6s are about loyalty and keeping the group together. Dr. Bannon certainly is. And then the Hulk, of course, it's more about smashing.
Yeah.
Smash.
I think that's the greatest 6 analogy ever.
I
Hey,
thought it was
Danelle. Hulk, that's right.
Yes.
Hulk smash.
Okay, and type 7, the enthusiast. They enjoy having a good time. They're very optimistic and positive. Can tend to overdo it in the pleasure-seeking area. We think Quill, Star-Lord.
Star-Lord, which I wish was my name. That's the best.
It can be your name.
It can be a name? All right, I'll have to think of a superhero name. We all need to come up with our own superhero names, I think.
Yes.
And then we can just address each other by those from now on.
Okay, my Star-Lord.
Let's take it.
Oh, let's take it. Okay. All right, type 8, our challenger. So those are a more aggressive type A personalities, and I wasn't sure exactly. I mean, this is terrible, but there's a lot of villains you could put as an 8. But for a superhero, I think let's go with Thor.
Thor. What about Rocket?
Ooh.
Rocket's like my favorite.
I think Rocket is a type.
Anyone know Rocket the raccoon?
Rocket the raccoon, yes. Yeah, a tough exterior, but he's super soft in his little fur.
That's right.
Oh, I like Rocket better. I think he's more 8-ish than Thor even.
Rocket's my favorite. I could watch the Rocket all day long. It's the best. Well, that's cool.
Yes.
I like all those.
Yeah. And then the last one, the Peacemaker, type 9. So Black Panther. So as the reluctant hero, humble, soft-spoken, but gets the job done.
I like
Ta-da!
it. There we go. That was very
there's
scientific
very
analysis
exactly
of superheroes.
perfect, completely accurate guide to Enneagram superheroes.
I like it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, son. That was fun. Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. We were thinking Hawkeye maybe for a number 2, but we could not remember his name.
I don't really get Hawkeye, to tell you the truth.
Someone explain
What
Hawkeye.
is his superpower? He's just really accurate? Someone tell me.
He's a good shot. I don't know.
He's a good shot.
I mean, like Black Widow, she doesn't really have a superpower either, other than hotness.
So that's a superpower. He can get away with a
I
lot.
don't know. I don't know.
No. I think she's like a, I don't know, assassin.
Yes. I
Like a
still
really
don't know
good
how
one.
that's a superpower. She's Russian.
She's Russian. I don't know. We haven't watched the latest Scarlet movie, so has it even come out yet?
I don't know. Movies.
All right. Let's move on.
Okay. So
I think we've milked that to death. Beat that dead horse.
Okay.
Everybody doing all right? What do we got? Hawkeye. Yeah. He never misses. That's true. That'd be nice.
Well, yeah, that's helpful. That's pretty superpower-ish. Mortals miss. He's probably mortal. I don't know.
Is he?
I have no idea.
I didn't know his backstory. I'm gonna have to look him up.
Now our interests are piqued.
No, now we're gonna have to go through every superhero and figure out who they are.
That's a lot.
All right, so now we're going.
Now we'll do the real thing.
Now we're getting some serious stuff.
Talking for reals about each type's core, desire, and core longing. So those kind of go hand in hand.
We needed some theme music for that. I was thinking if we had that Shameless Jezebel song, Desire, that would be great for this segment, but I'm not that polished yet.
Oh gosh, sometime we're gonna have to prepare more for this.
Mm-hmm.
Have music. Okay, but in the meantime, so we'll start back with our type 1 reformer. So their core desire is having integrity, being good, balanced, accurate, virtuous, and right. So all those things are what motivates type 1s. And their core longing is hearing you are good. And not just hearing it, but believing it.
So core 1 desire.
Their core desire.
Their core desire is to be good.
Yes. Yeah.
So you could really torment a type 1. I'm always twisting. I have problems. I'm always like seeing
don't use it for evil.
How could you hurt somebody with this? And like, no, don't do that.
No, for really though, in years past, the Enneagram wasn't taught widely because of its power to hurt people. And you could use it to manipulate. And so please don't do that.
Well, no, actually, like literally from my perspective, I'm like, oh, that's how I don't damage that person. Because generally if I can like offend somebody accidentally or hurt their feelings, I kind of do. So if I know who a person's type is and I'm like, well, this would really hurt their feelings, I avoid that entirely. So yeah,
so questioning type 1's moral goodness is extremely painful for them. So don't do it.
Any type 1s out there?
I think Janelle's on.
Oh, Janelle's type 1. Janelle, you're good.
Yes, you are good. You have integrity. You are balanced, virtuous, and right. I don't know if you're right every time because Paul probably needs to have a turn.
That's right.
And speaking of Paul.
All right. So, speaking of Paul, the type 2.
Yes, type 2, our helper. Type 2's core desire is being appreciated, loved, and wanted. So that's pretty easy.
You, Paul.
Loved,
Paul out
appreciated,
there?
Wanted. And their core longing, they want to hear that you are wanted and loved. Yes. So we love you and appreciate you
type 2s. So is rejection for a type 2 is like torment?
Oh, yeah.
No, what isn't that for any type?
We don't want us to be rejected, but some types handle it better. Yeah.
Duly noted.
Yes. Okay. Type 3, our achiever. Their core desire is to have high status and respect, be admired, successful, and valuable. And their core longing is to hear you are loved and valued by simply being you. So that's a hard one for 3s to acknowledge that they can be loved just for being them, not for what they do or achieve, but that they have intrinsic value. So that's a little hard of a concept for 3s to really embrace and accept. All my
3s. So 3, Nina, you are valued.
Yes, you don't have to do anything.
That's right.
But you're doing things is good too. Thanks for doing.
Just do some
and
things.
Being. Yes. Okay.
Huh, that's interesting. All right, 4.
Okay, don't think of how to hurt people.
I'm not. I'm thinking how not to hurt people.
Okay, good job. Okay,
I have changed my evil ways.
Good. The individualist, their core desire is to be unique, special, and finding their authentic self. And I also say to have purpose. And the core longing is to hear you are seen and loved for exactly who you are, special and unique.
Wait, that's the 4?
Yeah, it's the 4.
I thought we had to be significant.
To have a purpose, yeah. So being unique, special, and finding out your authentic self. And I'm adding to have a purpose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I know that's really important.
It is important for 4s.
Yeah. Does that resonate with you?
Yes. I agree with that statement.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait, Jeannie, are you saying you don't want to be a 2, Jeannie? Is that what you're saying? She's a 2 and she doesn't want to be. Twos are amazing.
Jeannie, my mom is a 2. 2s are the best, but 2s can get their hearts broken. So.
Who can't?
Well, everyone can, but 2's hearts are like right there at the surface. So.
Don't squish a 2's heart.
No, protect them. Yes.
Or they won't help you. We need helpers, like lazy people like me.
Oh my gosh, the world needs 2s.
I'm not
like
very
crazy,
helpy.
especially now. So thank you, Jeannie.
Yeah. 2s make the world go round.
You do. Okay.
All right.
Type 5.
Type 5.
The observer. Core desire, being knowledgeable, capable, and competent. And they long to hear your needs are not a problem. So somewhere deep down, 5s are really concerned with being self-contained. So somehow they receive the message that their needs are a problem, so they need to not have any needs. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
I was distracted by the comments, but I was listening. Jeannie says that not if you're a CEO, 2 is a problem.
Oh, I know that's hard.
I can't really comment because I'm not a 2 and I'm not a helper.
I know.
Oh, if you need some coaching, Aunt Melanie will help improve your life.
That's true.
Just
strategies to protect
just
your
private message her.
hearts.
So
Yes, feel free.
help you navigate.
Yes. Okay, type 6s, the loyalists. Their core desire is to have security, guidance, and support. And their core longing is to hear you are safe and secure. So
The 6s should not hang out with me.
Just be nice to them.
It depends on what I'm doing. I like to make people feel safe. But...
And it doesn't always mean like necessarily physically safe. It may be physically safe.
I don't think I ever make anyone feel physically safe.
I don't feel unsafe.
Well, it's because I protect you.
Thank you. But it could be like emotionally safe, financially safe, all that. All the ways
I'm
to be
safe. I'm safe.
Middle name is safety, I always say. Okay, type 7, the enthusiast.
Yay.
Their core desire is to be happy, fully satisfied, and content. And that's a constant quest.
For 6?
Or 7s.
Oh, 7.
7s.
They want to be fully satisfied and content all the time.
Yeah, but they keep looking for more and more to look forward to.
Gluttons. Oh, yeah.
Glutton for punishment. But they hate punishment, so they don't want that. So their core longing is to hear you'll be taken care of. I think that's interesting.
That explains a lot.
Okay.
Sorry, you guys. I keep messing with our lights and things.
Okay. Type 8, the challenger. Their core desire is
to dominate the world.
Nope.
No? Oh.
I mean, that's probably in there, but inside the core, it's to protect themselves and those in their inner circle. So they are protectors.
8s are protectors.
Yes. And their core longing is they long to hear you will not be betrayed. And this always breaks my heart for 8s. Every 8 I know really wrestles with this. They do feel betrayed. Like if they're not betrayed by somebody yet, they will be. I think that's sad.
I get that. I might have a little. I know I don't have any 8 in me apparently, but I resonate with 8s a lot.
In your tri-type, you do.
In my tri-type, anyway. All right.
Okay, moving on to the very last.
Number 9.
Type number 9, peacemaker. The core desire is to have inner stability and peace of mind. I agree with that. And our core longing is to hear your presence matters. And
your presence matters so much right now. Melody's a 9.
I'm a 9.
That's funny because she likes inner peace and I am like an inner storm. So that makes for some interesting marital issues.
Bliss.
Yeah.
So that statement, your presence matters. So sometimes you'll just come across something and it will just hit hard. And when I was reading about type 9 initially and I read that, I'm like, oh, dang. Because I would never have put it in those words, but it really resonated and I recognized, oh, I do deep down think that. And
hey, Dina.
So, yeah. So
our dog's coming over here.
That's the little toenail.
Thinking about tripping through our wires. Don't even think about it, Rossi. Nice, good. All right.
Okay.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, so I mean, we're completely opposites. Like inner peace, inner storm, but we've been married for 28 years, so it can work.
Yeah, and the
You
Enneagram
can
is
get
so
along.
helpful. It unlocks so many mysteries and keys for us. So I hope you all can use it too.
I don't
Oh
know.
no, Rossi really wants on the couch.
Our kid is behind us. Cool.
Let's see. Any questions?
Yeah, you guys got any questions about that at all? Does that resonate with you guys? Reading your comments. I'll pass this off to you. Yes, no. You guys are awfully quiet tonight. There's like some interaction. Blessed are the peacemakers. This is true.
Yeah.
Blessed.
Oh, Julie Levi's a 5. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool. Right
that's
on. Thanks,
helpful
babe.
to know.
Well, that was
Are the
fun.
peacemakers? Oh, not the peacemakers.
The peacemakers. Those are something
Oh,
different.
whoops. Yes, that's right. Okay,
That's great.
cool.
Questions, comments, answers. Take a break. Get a drink of water. Tonight we're sponsored by the Forest of Superheroes.
Sponsored by Batman. And I guess we get sponsored by the country of Colombia.
Colombia.
Yeah.
Colombia's great.
Which is such a nice country.
Too bad we can't go there right now.
No.
Somebody should let us in.
Someday someone will.
Someday someone will. Numbers are going down, people. What is that website you're looking at actually that shows us where the numbers are across the state?
Oh, that was Worldometer.
Worldometer. It's encouraging.
Yeah.
We were going to get you guys all a compiled list of reputable news sources. Since we keep running into people that are like, oh, did you hear this? And they're basing life decisions on something that was just disproven. I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone needs some real news sources.
Yeah.
But we didn't get there. Sorry. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Yeah.
But the Worldometer is pretty cool. It shows you like real-time data, whether it's accurate or not. But it looks like a trend across the globe. Everything's going down. So cool.
Oh, hi, Veronica. Sorry, I'm going to backtrack. And another note. Got any teacher advice for missing kids? I'm sorry, Veronica. What a nightmare. Do you know what your Enneagram type is? Let's see. What do you think Veronica is?
Veronica? When you're missing, I don't know. Yeah. The best Enneagram type. Okay, we should probably move on.
Okay. I'll
Thanks,
think about
babe.
that. We can talk about something along that line next week.
Yeah, and so we were talking before this. If you guys have any subjects you'd like us to cover, anything specific about Enneagram, personality coaching, any questions you'd like to ask me specifically about, spiritual experiences.
So knows everything.
Yeah, I know.
And he'll talk about it.
I will talk about anything and everything. And whatever people, I mean, literally, this is my conversations I have every week. Someone comes up to me and they're going to say, you're going to think this is really weird, but it's like I always say, you can't out-weird me, dude. Like, you have no idea who you're talking to, but you can try. Specifically around dealing with gift of discernment of spirits, the empath gift or clairsentience or anything like that. HSP, highly sensitive people, dealing with anxiety, depression, all of those things, which are kind of all related. If you guys have any specific questions at all you want us to talk about, please just drop them in our. You can message us on Facebook.
Or if you just think of it right now, just
or
go
right
ahead
now.
And put it in the comments, and
Yeah,
then
and
we'll
we'll
try to remember it.
to talk about those things because we like. It's actually really fun for me to answer those questions because I have found that when people find that they have someone who is willing to talk about that and has some answers or at least some experience, they will talk all night about it because finally somebody will listen and can relate. So I'm all about it. Yeah. So on that note, we're going to talk a little bit about, what are we going to talk about?
You tell us.
You tell us. Showing up for people instead of showing up to get something from people. And I've been talking about lately pulling from a higher realm. If you guys have been listening the last few weeks, how we have access when we're in God and God's in us, when we receive the gift of Jesus, the fullness of deity in bodily form was manifested in Jesus, and he makes that available to us. That we can pull from that higher realm into this realm. And I talked about being in the world. You've heard the term be in the world, but not of the world. If you haven't heard that term, it's a really common term in Christianity. comes from something Jesus told his disciples, that he's not like saving you from the world. Like you're not supposed to exit the world, right? You're supposed to be in it, but you're actually not of it, because when you choose to follow God, become a child of God, you can pull from that fullness of deity into this realm. So you can literally pull from a higher realm. And it sounds like a funny analogy, but we watched this movie. I've been feeling like I need to watch it forever. It's called Only Lovers Left Alive. It's an older movie. It's an indie film with Tilda Swinton, one of my favorite people in the world. I think she's the coolest human ever. And
Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston. And they're a vampire.
Loki.
Huh?
Loki.
Yeah.
Speaking of superheroes.
What's his Enneagram? You can think about that.
The vampire him
or
the Loki?
He's probably a 3. Loki. Anyway, so the premise of this movie is they're vampires. They've been around forever, but where they're at in the world right now, they're just kind of disappointed with the way humanity's gone. But they're really educated, and they're actually really like good people. Like they're really into music and nature and literature, and one of them's super bummed out with just the way things are, and he's kind of wants to end it. And his wife, who've been married like forever, and she's like, use all this gift you have to like, practice kindness or whatever, just like practice the goodness, like use your gift to like improve humanity. It'll all come back around again eventually, And so it's an interesting movie if you can handle that kind of thing. It's not really, it's interesting. It's an indie film, so it's kind of film noir, which I like indie, and not your traditional Michael Bay pace. So you have to be into that thing.
It wasn't gory, so that was
no, nice. It wasn't gory. It was actually pretty witty, but anyway, so I've been talking about we live in the world. It's kind of like they were in the world, but they weren't of it, right? Because they were immortal. Well, we kind of have the same paradigm going from us. We've talked about, it said that in Jesus, it said in the beginning was the Word, that's Jesus, and in him was the light, that was the life of men. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not been able to apprehend it, comprehend it, grab a hold of it. So the light that he extends to us, like evil can't overcome it. And he called himself the light of the world. He said, I'm the light of the world. But when he left, he said, you're the light of the world, which is big medicine. He said, now you're the light of the world. And the way that works is like, when we receive his gift, and the way you receive something, he's like, I'll receive that. You open your hands and say, thank you. It's that easy. That then we have access to that higher realm, becoming Christ-like, God-like. It says Jesus was the first of many sons and daughters. Those who believe are then sons of God. We are the sons and daughters, brothers and sisters. So we are literally children of God when we choose to believe. And so from that paradigm, then we can start to draw from the higher realm, draw from the unlimited eternal source, and bring it into this realm. And so I've talked about that. It's kind of a recap. And the kind of the premise I was talking about it last time, if people ask of you, you just give, because you have unlimited source. And so you actually can't be taken from, because you just have unlimited resource. And part of that paradigm comes from trusting God, like the God of the universe, who is good, who is love, who calls himself love, who desires for you to, they call it glory to glory. That's the term, that God's taking you from glory to glory. Like, what's glory? And, it's like taking you from a good place to a better place all the time. And you kind of have to have this heart, this mindset of trust, this make this choice to believe that God, the universe, I said God, the universe, nature, wherever you're coming from, it's all underneath his authority. It's all works together for our good because he created it. It all came through him for us. You got to put some trust that it's working out for your good. And so when you believe that things are being worked out into your future, he's always trying to draw you towards him. God's always trying to elevate your life to be more Christ-like, more like him. Then you can relax and pull from that higher realm, right? There's some belief involved. And so from that place of understanding, of enlightenment, if you will, of wokeness, whatever you want to call it, from revelation, wherever stream you come from. I'm not really, if you have followed me, I'm not really like choosy with I'm not like legalistic with my words. Like, I hate like Christianese, and I hate like segregation in language and separation in factions and reinventing the wheel. So that's why I talk about you. Jesus walked amongst people and used their language, and so that's what I do, because I'm supposed to follow his example.
It was good enough for Jesus.
Right. So from that place of understanding that we are a conduit for the divine resource to come through to humanity, that's where the sons of God, the daughters of God, that it says the earth actually groans to see revealed. Like they're waiting in anticipation for us to get it. That's where all of that resource comes through us to humanity and the planet. And so when you're walking around with that mindset, when you wake up with that mindset and you're going through life with that mindset, you stop showing up wondering what you can get from people and wondering what you can give. Like it's a place of, it's a place of leadership, of like a mindset of a king and a queen, or a queen. You know, it talks about that. We're royalty. You know, when we choose to follow God, become a child of God, we become like royalty, like heirs to the kingdom of heaven. And so you think differently. You stop thinking about yourself and you start thinking about the good of the kingdom, which is all of this. And so it's a real mindset shift. And I'm not saying it's easy, but to wake up, and why it's not easy is because, you know, we all are suffering some way or another, or something in our life is not being met, or an expectation the way we want it to, or we actually are like deficit in some way. Like I have a friend who lost her house in the fire in Vacaville, burnt to the ground, you know, and like she's in a deficit right now. And it is hard to come out from a place where you actually feel like you are in need, to a place of like, well, I'm in need because my worldly possessions, my health, whatever is being challenged right now, but how can I still show up and be a conduit for divine resource to come through? And sometimes actually literally when we are in a weak place like that and we choose to engage as a conduit for God to come through to humanity, it's like more powerful because we know we're not giving out of our finite resource. We're tapping into an infinite resource, thinking like an immortal, that like in this present condition, in this place that I'm in, even though things have been taken from me, the world has taken from me, I can still give more than it's taken, you know? And so it is a hard mindset to switch over into, because we have been taught from birth to be survivors, most of the time, kind of an orphan mindset. Like if we don't take care of ourselves, nobody will. And we have to be careful because we can slip into that do unto others before they do unto you. It's a joke.
That's not how the goal.
It's not how it goes. It's do unto others as you would have them do to you. But we've been kind of like in this mindset of like, we'll do to them before they do to us. Like, you know, like take them out before they take us out. Mm-hmm. And it's a mindset shift. So I'll tell you like a couple stories. One of them I witnessed through somebody else. And then when I see something in somebody else that offends me, or I see that is wrong, I have to then examine myself to make sure I'm not in agreement with it. So I'm going to tell you two stories. And so I was with a friend at a coffee shop, and I had ordered a drink, and they accidentally made it iced, and I wanted it hot. And so I had a friend who was with me at this particular coffee shop that they gave the free drink to, you know. And then when she went up to the counter, she didn't have a mask on, and she's anti-mask, of course, like a lot of people are. And she was very pissed off that they said, will you please put on your mask? Because he was told by his employer that anyone who comes to the counter has to wear a mask. So instead of being like grateful that she just got a free drink, she was giving him a hard time about, well, I can't wear masks, I can't breathe in them, and blah. And then that guy's a jerk because, you know, he was whatever, you know. She's in a position where she was offended. She came to get something, coffee, even though she got it free. She still was like, she wasn't there for anybody else. She was there for herself, right? And then we've all been in positions like that. And she's a really good person. But in that particular time in the morning, pre-caffeine, yeah. it was a taking. When you're pre-caffeine, you're in a taking mindset. Yes. You just like what it is, right? And so I was like really kind of bummed. I'm bummed because she's like, that guy's the biggest jerk I've ever talked to in my life. And I'm like, that guy's actually one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And because I'm in there all the time, right? And so I went actually back a couple days later and apologized for her to him. He's like, oh, it's no big deal. And like ever since then, he's brought me my drink. Usually I have to go back to the counter to get it. But when I'm in there, he's brought me my drink, put it on my table. So I don't have to get up and put my mask on, which was funny because that's why the argument started in the first place. She didn't want to wear one. And since I went back and apologized, he doesn't make me get up and wear a mask. He brings my drink to my table so I don't have to get up and put on a mask just to walk to the counter, which is interesting shift. Like it's a cause and effect thing, right? Of kindness. So that's one of those situations where, you know, we walk around town, we get our groceries, we get our coffee, we get our food, we want something, we're going to get dinner, you know, we want a service, we want this, we want that, we want our haircut, we want a massage, we go to the gym. And in all those places,
a lot of things.
We do want a lot of things. We're high maintenance
Dang.
as humans. Jeez. What did we do before all this stuff came along that we could access?
Just hunted.
Just sat in the jungle and
We
sat in the dirt. No
There's
one brought us
something to
anything to eat. But are you tracking with me? Like we go through town and we are a consumer culture. We want to consume. You know, we have a lot of access and a lot of things available to us. And so that's an interesting position because we have a lot of freedom to explore life and do things. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of times, like me personally, I have walked around like not thinking, and it's not by conscious choice, like showing up at the grocery store and not thinking like, what do I need right now? But like, what can I do as a conduit for the divine in this situation to improve it and the people in front of me? And like missing things like this person just did a kind deed for me, and I come back and like make their life harder by, you know, not wanting to wear a mask when I'm at the counter because I don't agree with it personally. You know, it's like, wasn't his problem. He was following orders, you know, so he doesn't get fired because he needs a job so he can feed his family, right? And it's not easy to like walk around with that mindset 24/7 because sometimes we do need things, right? And so, and like I said, if I notice that in somebody else, I have to examine my own self to wonder if like in my own life, how that's popping up as well. Because if it's standing out, for me, usually if I'm noticing something I don't like somewhere else, it's probably something that in my heart needs to be fixed as well. And so it's self-reflecting. You have to look back at yourself. And if you're going to put yourself in a place of judgment, you got to be ready to judge yourself, because the measure that you use, it says that God will use your own measure to measure you. Like, and that means the laws that you make for other people and the judgments you set, you are going to be judged by that standard, right? So I don't want to be in agreement with that, right? So I have to like fix that in my own life, right? If I'm going to make a judgment, I need to make sure I'm not in partnership with the same thing. You guys tracking with me? So I had this experience where I went to my mom's house a couple weekends ago. I was surfing, went by to see my mom, and on the way there, I'm asking Spirit, I'm like, you know, how can I show up for my mom today and make her feel loved? Because I realized that in my own life, like I had pretty rough childhood, wasn't raised the way I felt like I should be raised to get the advantage I felt like I needed to succeed in life, because broken home, and you know, my mom's a certain way, and dad's a certain way, and you know, it's like I just didn't get the advantage that I felt like I wanted when I was younger, the education and all that stuff. Grew up very poor, and so for a while I just was always angry. Like I'd show up, I was kind of angry in my heart. I'd show up at my parents' house with a little bit of a grudge in my heart, and then just like wanting something from them that I was never going to get, because it was just water under the bridge, right? But it was still there. And so, I became aware of that a while ago, you know, and I was thinking on the way to my mom's house, you know, I'm like, how can I show up for her today? You know, and how can I show up, make her feel loved? It was really interesting. I came over to her house and we had the longest talk about her childhood, which I didn't really know a lot about my parents' past and history. But my mom's family was very disconnected. Like there was a ton of kids, and when you were born, you just were expected to fend for yourself. She moved out of house when she was 16 and got work and moved all over the place. And that's just the way life was, you know. There wasn't a lot of nurturing, and she wasn't given the tools by her parents. No father, mother that wasn't very loving. She wasn't given the tools to even parent the way that I felt like a parent should be, you know, after I grew up and realized like, oh, this is what happens to you as a kid if you're not parented very well, you know. And so it was really interesting. I talked to her about 2 hours, I got to listen to her whole story, a lot of her story about her childhood, how hard it was, her relationship with her mom, when her first marriage, how it was difficult. And you're always hearing one side of a story, right? So you got to take it with a grain of salt and everything else and realize there's two things going on. But then I was able to like tell her parts of the conversation we've never had. I was able to come back and like say, well, this is how I was experiencing this time, which we've never had that conversation our entire lives. And she was like, oh, I didn't realize you were going through that much pain, and this and that. And so I guess the moral of the story is this: when I decided, this has always been one of my relationships, has been in like one of the most painful places for me and taxing places for me into my adulthood. And it's caused me a lot of problems that I've had to work out myself. That's why I'm such a student of psychology and spirituality and everything else. But it was just such like a healing conversation for me. But I went in there with the attitude of, what can I give to her? And I think that we're actually wired for that when we are in a place of deficit, and we tap into a higher source from us. We know we're not able to give what that person needs, but we want to. We can literally tap into that higher realm and like channel that through us in a way that actually comes back to us, because you actually cannot be a conduit for the light, for holiness, for love, without it actually, because it comes through you, without it affecting you, because you are the literal energetic conduit for it. So I think what I'm trying to say is, it's a tough time right now. We feel like a lot of stuff is being taken from us or forced upon us, or there's not as much for us, or we can't do exactly what we want right now because of the global. I'm always trying to remind people, this is global. The United States is not the center of the universe. This is a global thing. There are other countries that don't have Democrats or Republicans that are going through the same thing as we are, and in worse shape than we are. So a lot of things are a challenge for us right now. And so we feel needy. Like I wake up sometimes and I don't like the way the energy feels in the atmosphere, because I can feel the global angst. I'll get on social media or whatever, and I just get this wave of like, or I'll go to the store and maybe something's there that I want. It's not necessarily there right now. Or I'll try to order something off of Amazon and it's not coming like in 5 minutes and falling on my doorstep by drone or whatever. Cookies aren't flying into my mouth via the drone when I want a cookie. That's where it's going to go. WALL-E, everyone see WALL-E? I think that was prophetic. Like, that's where the world's going to go. If we don't shape up, we're going to be a bunch of shapeless blobs on floating chairs, just food dropping in our mouths.
One can hope.
Let's please not ever have that happen. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's an interesting place when you feel like you're in a deficit to decide you're going to get up and give. Like, how can I show up for the world even though I feel like the world isn't exactly the way I want it right now? That's why I love that movie I just watched of those two vampires. It's like one of them was like, this sucks, the whole world sucks. And he was like this talented genius musician who was friends with a lot of like famous scientists and all these people that were gone now, but his wife was like, well, show up anyway, even though you don't like the way things are, you've got a gift. And for them, they did work and then released it behind the scenes, gave it to other people to release, and they were never known, but the work they did was released into the world and made humanity a better place. Mm-hmm. Interesting reverse vampirism, right? And
how do you think about that? Reverse vampirism.
They're vampires, but practicing reverse vampirism. Even though they like had to eat blood, they chose to take it from blood banks instead of people. It was really kind of a cool concept.
Little side plot though, one of the other vampires was Christopher Marlowe, who the theory is that he actually, in reality, did write a lot of Shakespeare's work.
Right.
And so he was a vampire who couldn't be known for writing, but anyway, he
funny.
hated Shakespeare.
Yeah. But anyway, so it was interesting. And so in the end, that's kind of what it's like. It's like, we might not like the way things are, and it might feel like we need things. But we do. We all need things: food, shelter, and companionship, and coffee, and fast cars, and a motorcycle, and some cool black t-shirts, whatever. We need those things. Those are good. Those are not bad, But giving out of a place of deficit, or a place of worry, or a place of, I don't know what tomorrow's going to be like, because actually none of us actually do, but there is someone who does, that we can tap into. The divine source that says he was here yesterday, today, and he'll be here forever. lives outside of time. And when we're in him and he's in us, we literally exist outside of time because time's a construct. He exists outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
She, however you want to address the God, it's appropriate both ways because male and female are in God. So I want you to be able to approach God wherever you're at. But when we make our home in God and God becomes in us, we literally exist outside of the timeline because part of us is there and part of him is here. And on a quantum level, we exist outside of time. So if you can wrap your mind around that, you're in this space now, and it might not be the best, but you're eternal and you've got infinite resource available to you through God. And so when we go out into this is my challenge to everybody this week. When you go out into the marketplace, you go out into the world, you go out to interact with people, and a lot of people are doing things that are very offensive right now, and we offend people and vice versa. Like, how do you show up as a conduit for them? And, like, I was just having this conversation with Mel. People that always bothered me before even the COVID thing were the safety police, the self-appointed safety police of society, because, I grew up doing extreme sports, drive fast cars. I'm a risk taker, and I've built this, what do you want to call it? Skill set that is okay with high risk stuff, but that really freaks some people out, and they feel like I should be wearing a safety helmet and an orange vest and inside, like painted lines. And those are like my least favorite people, because I feel like that if I have to live inside that set of rules for the people who aren't capable to do that stuff, then it's like taking away my freedom as like a stuntman or something. But then I was telling them, like, how could I show up for those people right now that want to police everybody, because they're the most annoying people to me right now. But they need something too, right? Because God's saving them. God's saving the Republicans and the Democrats and our enemies, and and name it across the board. Antifa, what do they call the other group that I didn't even know existed? The Proud Boys, and all the people that we don't like, all the countries that hate us. God's after their hearts too. So how can we show up for them? Because it says that Jesus said that he did what he did for us. He died so we could have access to God while we were his enemies. And are we willing to die, so to speak, for our enemies? Are we willing to get up in the morning and say, I'm in a place of deficit right now. Can I die for my enemies? But maybe if you can't, you can start with, can I die today for my barista? Can I die today for the person who's checking out my groceries that's under high stress because everyone's coming in and demanding something from them? Can I die for the guy who cuts my lawn? I need something, but can I give? And then if that starts to become a habit, then you can start trying to die for people you don't like, who disagree with you, your politics or whatever. And when you do that, when you become something for them, when you become a conduit of the life that is the light to men, the darkness that's influencing them can't apprehend that, can't control it, can't do anything about it. And you begin to transform society for the good. And you being that conduit for them has an effect on you as well, because you are literally channeling the divine to them. You're channeling purity, you're channeling love, you're channeling what you were originally designed for, which was to operate on love. And because we're made in God's image and God calls himself love, therefore you are love if you're made in God's image, right? It's part of our nature. And we operate outside of that from a place of taking or anger or hatred. We're actually operating against our nature, and it's making us sick spiritually, physically and mentally. Yeah. It's not even like the physical part's not even pseudoscience. It's not a theory. That's actual science. Like when you operate out of anger and hate, you're literally making yourself sick. So that was a long-winded, rambly way around to say, go out into society and show up for other people wherever you're at. And I guarantee when you do that, you'll not only like give them something, but your needs will be met tenfold by being the conduit for love to them. So
yeah, because you can't be ineffective when love flows through you.
You can't at all.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, and I find out, like, if I'm depressed, I start doing stuff for people, I feel amazing. Like, if I'm struggling there emotionally, if I start doing things for people, it boosts my mood 100%. So everyone's greatest internal desire can probably be satisfied when they become conduit for purity, for love, for goodness, for the light to society, because that is going to actually come back at you and fulfill your heart's desire.
No matter what Enneagram type you are.
No matter what. And it's a superpower. So you're all superheroes. I expect everyone next week to come with their superhero name. And we shall refer to you thusly from here on out.
That's going to be hard to keep track of.
All right, you guys, I'm done unless anyone's got any questions.
There were a couple good suggestions for topics.
Okay, let's hear
for
them.
future.
We're a few minutes, so I'm going to wrap that up. If you guys want to go,
future
you can. But we're going to then, we got 5 minutes to talk about some future subjects, perhaps.
Yeah.
Let's hear them.
So Jessica would love to have a discussion about anxiety,
Okay.
which we have talked about before, but that's a big one right now for a lot of people.
Yes.
So anxiety will be a great topic. And Crystal said, what we see every day, the physical, and what we do not see, the spiritual, the mental shift of faith and belief is hard because we're surrounded by what we don't yet see.
But some of us can see it.
So unless you're a seer, you
Yeah.
just see it anyway. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so those are a couple good.
Hey, Regina. Cool.
Hey.
We can do anxiety next week. Well, unless she finds another question. Yeah, I will gladly talk about anxiety next week. That is something I have struggled with on many levels and got a handle on. So we can talk about that.
Yeah. And then Crystal just shared this, which I think is really good with what you were sharing just now, that she has a Christian friend in Beirut. He and his family don't have much at all. He has 2 little kids, but he's been showing up and helping so many people around him, reinstalling glass windows in people's homes that were blown out, etc.
Yeah.
Not his forte, but he shows up. And
Yeah,
that's so
go
beautiful.
down the internet
People
and investigate what the youth are
in
doing in
terrible
Beirut right
situations.
now. They're just starting to rebuild the city, you know, everybody's leaving. That's
And
pretty
like
intense.
hundreds of thousands of people are suddenly homeless.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, dying so other people can have a future. It's a pretty interesting concept that Americans dying to self so other people can live.
We have a
It's
lot
a
to
concept
learn.
we haven't been taught very well, but anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. Right on. All right, next week then, I'll address anxiety.
Okay, that's a good one.
Cool. All right, guys.
Okay, we love you guys.
We love you guys. Thanks for
hanging out
tuning
with
in.
us for an hour.
We apologize for slapping this together in like no minutes at all, but sometimes we just wanted to get it in because we missed last week and we like to at least do it every other week. And so the recording may have been glitchy and blurry tonight. We apologize for that. It seems to be doing that on Facebook, but on the playback, it is clear. And we have now moved this to YouTube. So all of the Wolf Mountains will be available on YouTube to go back and watch later. We did that because a lot of people are exiting Facebook but still want to watch.
And do you find it under Wolf
Just
Mountain?
look up Wolf Mountain on Facebook and you should find our
YouTube.
little, oh, sorry, YouTube. Our little Wolf Mountain logo, where is it? There, right there. Everything's opposite on this one.
Oh, yeah, that's confusing.
Yeah.
In the corner.
In
I
the
think
corner.
it is the upper right-hand corner.
Yeah.
That.
Look for that. And that's us. So anyway, love you guys. Thanks for tuning
Have a
in.
good week.
Have a good week.
Be well.
And we'll see you next time.